Hello, happy Wednesday. I'm Beverly Hosford, and this is Erin Nitschke. We are here with NFPT Live. What is this, Erin, our fourth episode?
I think it's our third full episode.
Maybe, yeah. We talked about the Idea World convention, and then we talked about how we met and how we started the show, and then we talked about networking last week, about how to build a professional network. And while we were talking about that, we decided we should chat about a very special type of person that's in your network, hopefully, which is a mentor. And so you've been writing some really awesome blogs lately about mentors over on the NFPT page. So you should definitely check those out. But we're gonna dive into mentors today because sometimes it can be tricky to know if someone is mentor material, if they're just someone that should be a colleague of yours. And mentors can be a tricky word, but I think we both agreed that mentors are very, very valuable, very valuable. And so I'm going to let's pop our names down here and put up this question. If you're here with us, make sure you say hi and tell us who is your mentor. And so Erin, why don't you start us off and tell us what a mentor is? How do you define that?
Well, I think sometimes people get mentor and leader used interchangeably, and that's really not the case. I've been in leadership a long time, and simply because somebody holds a position or has a really fancy title doesn't make them a mentor. It's the qualities that they embody, and it's the values that they display in their everyday professional and personal lives that make them a mentor or a potential mentor for you. So don't get hung up on that idea that it has to be somebody that, has this really fancy title like director or vice president or, lead, whatever. That doesn't make them a mentor. So a mentor and a leader are two very different things. Mentors are really more about how they behave, and leaders are really more about the position that they hold. That doesn't mean that certain leaders aren't mentors. Just don't get the two confused. And when I was early on in my career, I, especially in education, thought, this person is the director of whatever. So this person is probably a really great mentor. And that's not always the case. You can get yourself into witnessing some debauchery if you continue to define mentor and leader as the same thing. So I think that's the first thing. And a mentor is also somebody that is willing to be unselfish with their knowledge. Sometimes there are those people that you will come across that hold their knowledge and experience close to their vest because they feel that gives them more power or strength or popularity or insert whatever there. But that's not the case with a mentor. A mentor is somebody that's willing to openly display their screw-ups, their mistakes, their experiences, and their successes to help somebody grow and potentially avoid the same or similar mistakes that person made once upon a time. So it's about that unselfish piece too, is not being afraid to, as a mentor, say, there was this one time that I made a huge error in judgment and I lost a job because of X or something like that. It's okay to be unselfish with your knowledge. And I find that when you do that with particularly students and younger trainers or younger professionals, there's an element of trust that develops and an element of rapport that can't otherwise be as organic if it's developed in a different way.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I remember when I was early on in my teaching career, I was always hesitant to share my faults because I wanted to portray myself as, like I wanted to dress nicer and be more, I don't know, I guess professional or something. But it seems like these days authenticity wins every time. And while you were talking about the difference between mentors and leaders, and I see we've got some people joining us, so say hello, don't be shy. Tell us who your mentor is. What I was thinking about for a moment was that sometimes you don't realize someone was a mentor till after the fact, or sometimes you don't realize that you were mentoring someone until after the fact. It's kind of one of those, you look back and you say, oh wow, that person really had an impact on me. When I think back on even when I was in high school, my high school gym teacher really empowered the girls in our class that we didn't need to play sports if we didn't want to, which was kind of cool. And he would let us do kickboxing or lift weights or do crunches or whatever we wanted instead of playing sports. It was so liberating. And he really, Mr. Hagee was his name, he really launched my career in fitness, I think, because he
Wow.
freed me from playing sports. And it was not like he was mentoring me directly. He was just someone that was open-minded, and I get the chills thinking about it. He was just open-minded and saying, hey, you don't have to play baseball with these meatheads if you don't want to. Like, you do what you want to do. Got us a kickboxing DVD or video. I guess it was a VHS back then. Dating myself.
Yes.
Yeah, I think sometimes you don't realize someone was a mentor until later.
Yeah, and I think that's when they're the really valuable mentors, because I think really great mentors end up planting that seed. They might not be the one to watch it grow and harvest it, but at the same time, they've planted that seed. And I can think back to, undergrad and grad school and think about mentors and people that I don't necessarily have contact with these days. They've moved to a different country, or they've just, how life goes is roads they just part and you just go on about your life. But I still have really great memories, and there are great valuable lessons that I've learned from mentors in the past that maybe aren't present today. And I think that's another thing about mentors is with each season of life, we have different people that influence us in different ways and teach us things that we wouldn't otherwise learn on our own. And so it's okay when mentors come and go. It's ebb and flow of life, because at different points in your life, there are different lessons that you need to learn.
Yeah. And so sometimes mentors, I think when you're in school, it's really nice that they're there naturally. They're just around, but
people
that are out there who don't have they want a mentor, like you wake up one morning and you're like, I want a mentor, if that's something that happens. But yeah, I think some people might be craving a mentor, and that's why we wanted to do this episode, because we talked about building a network, but something about finding a mentor seems intimidating. So how do you find a mentor if you don't have one? Because I feel like I've just been lucky, like they've just come along.
Yeah, and in some cases that has been my experience as well. In other cases, if I found myself in a position or a situation that I didn't quite know how to navigate, I would ask someone for their opinion. And sometimes they're dead on, and sometimes you get advice that makes you take a different route, we'll say. And that's good. That's absolutely good. You need the pros, you need the cons, because the people that I think provide us examples, they can provide us good examples and then examples of how not to behave. And so for me, I think like you, Bev, I've been extremely lucky because I've been in situations that in employment experiences that have naturally given me really great mentors. And then there are others that I know just from going to a conference, or they're friends of mine that might have a different scope of practice that I really connect with. And so I think mentors can be found in every corner. It's a matter of making sure that you feel like they have something to teach you, but then you also have to be willing to learn, and you have to be mentorable. You have to be somebody that is willing to examine your own blind spots. And sometimes a person on the outside can help you see those that you wouldn't otherwise realize. It's just how we are. It's how we're built. Fortunately or unfortunately, that's just how it goes with human psyches.
Yeah. I loved your blog that went up today about being mentorable. I don't know if it's a good term, but it's true. It's like if you're wanting a mentor, you have to be coachable, you have to be teachable, you have to be mentorable, you have to be a sponge, and you just have to be ready for that. So I loved your blog, and I think it goes over some great points. And if you're watching, definitely go over to the nfpt.com/blog page and check out Erin's blog. She lays it out beautifully. And yeah, as you were chatting, I remembered another mentor I had, if you don't mind me sharing another story. When I was personal training, I had a client who was very, very wealthy and very wise. And he was just so, I just loved him. And one day I asked, well, he used to tell me like he would go to lunch with someone different every day. And he was, I think he was 80 at the time. And he would go to lunch with someone different every single day. And him and his wife never ate lunch together. And so one day I said to him, I said, do you think I could be one of those people you go to lunch with? And he said, he was a real fireball. His nickname was Red. And he said, he said, "Wow, Bev, you've got some balls asking an old guy like me out to lunch."
I love it.
And we did. We went to lunch. He took me to the golf course country club for lunch. He paid for my lunch. And I was able to ask him anything I wanted and see all these ritzy people hanging out. And, you know, he was wealthy, but he was the most down-to-earth guy I've ever met. And all I did was ask him, just say, "Hey, you know, I really think it's cool that you take all these people to lunch." And you seemed like he liked mentoring people. And I was like, "Can I be one of those people?" And that was it. He was, so I think, like we said last week, sometimes it's just simple, just asking.
Yeah, I think it is very simple. And I think there are times where mentors are purposely or strategically placed in your life by whatever power is out there. Mm-hmm. And so it can be serendipitous in some ways. It can be meant to be, if that's what you want to call it. And, you know, through my own career, my own experiences, I've had some truly tremendous people that are still really close friends today. When I first started in education, my supervisor was a dean, and she was definitely known for being somebody that would not go down without a fight. So she taught me to stand my ground, and if it felt right and it was in line with my ethics, then it was right. And to hell with, you know, a different opinion. I mean, it's about those values. And so she reflected some values in me that I knew that I had, and we're still really great friends today. And I think that's another important quality is looking at that value system that somebody has to offer you. And not that she and I didn't have our ups and downs. I mean, we worked together for 9 years or so, and we were pains in each other's butts. That's just the way that it goes. But I think that's a good thing when you've got a great mentorship relationship, is that you're willing to accept criticism. You're willing to fight about things that really matter. And then you're also able to move on forward together and be okay with it. And that's a part of being a mentor and being mentorable, is being willing to accept that criticism and being open to growth. And growth is painful. It's hard. It's absolutely hard, but it's even harder when you refuse to do it. And it will pigeonhole you into it will pigeonhole you into a spot that you'll never uproot yourself from. And I think that that's a huge mistake professionally and personally. So be willing to go through those growing pains and, you know, cry about it or fight about it or yell about it or write about it, whatever the case is, whatever helps you process. But the absence of growth is far more detrimental than going through that pain.
That is such a good, I put it up on the screen. Growth that's a good tweet. That'd be a good
quoted.
It's true. It's even harder when you fight it. Like that is so true. I mean, I'm out in Wisconsin on vacation right now, and we took a road trip with our 10-month-olds, and as soon as I finally let go and said, "Yeah, let's keep doing this." So once I stopped fighting it, it was so much more fun. It's like, so true. Growth is hard, but it's even harder when you refuse to do it. So you got to just let the growth happen.
Yes.
I like that.
You have to accept it. And I can honestly speak personally from my own life that there have been times where I've absolutely resisted it. That stubborn streak kicks in and I'm like, by God, I am not going to do it. And then looking back, I'm thinking, gosh, what was the point, you idiot? Why didn't you, so I think that growth comes not just with maturity, but with the pain of having to look back and say, yeah, that might have been a misstep on my part, because we're all going to make mistakes. And I think if you're willing to accept that fact that you're going to screw up, we all are. By nature, humans are flawed. And I think if we learn to accept that nature and we're knowledgeable in the fact that don't go through life hoping to avoid mistakes, just hope that you make some that force you to grow, that force you to change your behavior or your mindset or your perspective and be more accepting and willing. Because then I think that in turn makes you a better mentor if you yourself have gone through those growing pains and can look back and say, wow, that was really not a bright move on my part.
Yeah, I think this is such a valuable discussion, because one minute you could be like, I want to be mentored as the mentee. and then the next minute you could be like, but I don't want to grow or I don't want to mess up. And I think it's like, and maybe you don't want to mentor because you don't want to have to grow. I think it can go on either side. It can be, we want to grow somewhere deep inside, but then we don't want to go through the challenge. And so I think it does take a lot of courage to decide that you want to do something exciting, like maybe open your own fitness studio or become a presenter or something, and then to find a mentor, someone that's done it before, and to ask for their help, and then to actually follow their advice. I think maybe that comes naturally to you and I, but maybe to some of our viewers, it's not so natural, and it's hard. It might be scary to actually take that step. It's a lot easier sometimes to stay where you are than to make a change, right?
It absolutely is. It feels safer. It feels comfortable. But you're not going to grow in that spot where you're at. And so sometimes it takes just kind of breaking down those walls. And I think one other really important thing about mentor and mentee relationships is just that you don't place such high expectations on yourself or your mentor. Mentors aren't these magical beings that have a crystal ball that will honestly and always know the exact right thing to do. Right. All they can do is provide you guidance and help you be a confident traveler along your own journey. So don't place them on a pedestal, because I promise you that relationship will degrade. Because then you get into this cycle of, oh, well, my mentor told me to do this and I did, and then I failed. Well, whose fault is that?
Right.
It's really more about, okay, why didn't it work out? It might not have been the advice. It might have been the execution, or it might have just been not the right thing to do. That doesn't mean that your mentor should be cast out with the garbage and sent on down the highway. So,
that would be like if one of your clients blamed you because they didn't lose weight. It's like,
exactly.
Excuse me, but I think I see you 1 hour a week. What are you doing the other 100 hours?
Exactly. So, and the same thing with yourself, and don't place the expectation on yourself that you're going to do everything right. Mm-hmm. You won't. And as long as you get comfortable knowing that and being willing to allow and accept and not judge yourself for it, you're going to be in a much better spot. And that in turn makes you malleable. It makes you flexible, and it will make you a really great mentee to somebody.
Wow, this is some golden advice.
I must be on my A game today.
Yeah, you are. You must have had some extra Jojo or Yeah, this quote I put up here, get comfortable with being uncomfortable, kind of goes along exactly with what you're saying. And I did want to throw this up here. Here's the link to your blog, how to get the most out of being mentored. So if anybody's looking for that. And so what I want to kind of wrap up with today is, how about an action step for our viewers? What could they do if they, to find a mentor this week?
One thing anyone needs to do is to really take a hard look and a critical look. This is going to require introspection, and introspection is hard, just like growth, but that's where growth starts. So take a look at your skill set and not just your knowledge base. I'm talking like, how are you with communication? What blind spots do you potentially have, or areas that you think you maybe struggle with? And you're going to have to reflect on criticism that you've received in the past. And, are you somebody that's quick to judge, or are you somebody that tends to see things in black and white? Those types of things. And not that those are bad qualities by any means. They might just be ones that could potentially hold you back, or you might need to develop new skills that will bring that into balance. And then if you have an idea, then it will make it easier to identify a specific mentor, or maybe you start observing the qualities of those around you, or maybe there's a fitness professional out there that you're really drawn to. Maybe you think Bev and I are super cool and you want to reach out to us. I mean, heck yes, do it. But seriously, take a look at and observe the people around you. And if you see someone do something that you think, wow, that's a really great approach, or that's a really sophisticated perspective, take some time to get to know them or ask them for some guidance. And chances are, good mentors, either if they've done it before or are natural at it, they're going to say yes. And if they say no, they're probably not the right person for you, and it might not be the right time. But don't give up on it. So start with examining yourself, and
I love that.
Don't try to be the mentor. Be you. Don't give up your authentic and organic and natural qualities. Just look for somebody that can help you bring it into balance a little bit more.
Ooh, that is so great. Yeah, look at your weak spots, and then maybe look to someone that you admire. Look for the qualities they have that you want, and find a way to spend some time with them. And they might be very busy. The best mentors are usually pretty busy people, but they're also usually willing to set aside some time or let you come shadow them. Or I used to let my personal training students come and shadow me at the gym once in a while. And as long as they were mentoriable,
Yeah. Malleable.
I would let them come once or twice if they wanted to come and watch. If I felt like I'd ask them, like, well, what is it about what I do that you're interested in? Because it is important to have that alignment and to have that resonation. So that's great. Yeah. So if you're watching, say hello and tell us, what do you admire about someone else? Who's someone that you could approach? The summer is ending. Who's somebody that you could get together with? And, I just, this phrase came into mind that I hear a lot. People will contact me and they'll say, can I pick your brain? And I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't like it when people say, can I pick your brain? Because it just feels like, especially because I have coaching clients and I coach for a living. I don't like that. So I think a better approach, if you are someone that's looking to approach a mentor, is to, tell them something you like about them. Ask them if you could take them out for tea. Just say, I'd really like to get to know you better. I mean, those are just some thoughts I have, because I have over the years had a lot of people approach me saying, can I pick your brain? And it's like, can I pick your brain turns into
right.
turns into something. How do you feel about that? Do you have any pet peeves?
I do get that, and sometimes in my head I think, well, gosh, don't pick too deep because there might not be a lot there today, depending on the day. Like, wait a minute, don't oversell the skill set. But I think another question is, can I learn from you? Just be honest about it, and that might vary by the personality type. I mean, I'm somebody that is an educator by both profession and nature. And so I get really excited about the opportunity to help somebody else learn something, but I'm equally excited about what I can learn from them. So I think it's reciprocal in nature, and, what you put out there comes back to you. And so I think, asking that question, can I learn from you? I really appreciate the way that you did X, or I've noticed that you approach conflict this way, and are there some things that you might be able to help me? Mm-hmm. And Angie just commented about her dad.
Oh, it's covering us up.
oh, that's okay. Cover away. But yeah, that's awesome, Angie. Thank you for sharing that. And yeah, don't forget about your parents. When I think about the qualities that I have and the characteristics, I mean, I have my parents to thank for that. And so yeah, don't forget about your parents. They're amazing people. So thank you, Angie, for sharing that story.
Yeah, good. Angie's got some. Yeah, I love what you mentioned about the parents, because I'm here in Wisconsin right now, actually, with both of my parents and both of my husband's parents, and just boatloads of wisdom pouring out. And, even if you don't have a great relationship with your parents, I mean, especially becoming a parent this year has made me realize just how much they did, Even if you think they're terrible people, boy, once you have a baby, you realize, like, they put a lot in. So yeah, connecting with a parent or getting some wisdom from someone like that can be really great. And thanks, Myra, for your love. I love this. That's awesome. Myra, do you have any topic suggestions for us for the future? Because you've been following us the last couple of weeks here. And so with that being said, unless there's anything else you wanted to add, Erin.
No, I think we hit all the high points, and yeah, it was a great discussion, and hopefully our viewers have gleaned something from it and can maybe start thinking a little bit about how they can be mentored and how they might be able to mentor someone else. Everybody needs a mentor.
Yeah, and that's what I loved about your blog last week was like, hey, perhaps there's a mentor inside of you. Maybe you could mentor someone, maybe that's something you didn't think about before, but you might be able to mentor other people, and it can just be, it's so rewarding, and it feels so good to give back and to help lead the way. And it feels really good when you've made mistakes and you can watch someone else not make them, I think.
Absolutely. And I think, it makes you feel great because you have helped somebody grow. And you might not stay in contact with them for the rest of your existence, but that's okay. They're going to remember you, and you will remember them. And sometimes that's enough.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, April. You're a sweet heart.
So sweet. So much love. Well, we were talking about, next week, speaking of love, I was kind of feeling maybe doing that self-care topic next week. We've been driving hard on like business and network and go to conventions. And I'm like, you know what? Next week, why don't we talk about kicking back a little?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea because it's something that, I tend to think of it as like the flexibility piece of a workout program. It's kind of that at the end, nobody really wants to do it. Doesn't really do it. It's like that attitude, like, I'll do it later. But it's so important. It really is. And I'm guilty as sin when it comes to doing that for myself. So I can definitely use that conversation.
Yeah, so next week, join us. If you're watching today, you can subscribe to the Facebook Live, actually, and it will notify you when we're going on. So we'll be on next Wednesday, 11:30 Mountain Standard Time. And yeah, we'll chat about self-care. That was actually the underlying theme at the Idea World Convention, surprisingly. I heard it coming through with a lot of presenters. They were telling their audiences that you got to look out for number one. When you're out there trying to help people, you've got to take care of yourself first, like put your own oxygen mask on. So yeah, we've been driving hard for the last few weeks. And so next week we'll talk about self-care. And thanks for joining us today. Oh, thanks, Myra. She said, that's a great topic. Good. If you have any other suggestions, we'd love to hear them.
Yes. And, as always, reach out, leave a comment, let us know what you think. And if there's something you want us to chat about at some point, please just let us know and we'll make sure we tackle it.
Sweet. Well, we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.